Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today I'm going to get a second opinion on this Logosol sawmill. You guys know I've been going around and experimenting and testing out different brands and styles of sawmills because I'm in the market to buy one. I've actually been talking with my dad for a long time about us maybe going in together on a sawmill. So I've got him over here today. He's going to check out this Logosol mill. We're going to cut down a tree, mill it, all the way through the process in one video and kind of get his thoughts. Now, you've ran a few different sawmills or grew up around them.
Yeah, my dad ran a fairly large sawmill. It was an old sawmill. It was probably, at the time, it was probably 80 years old, and he rebuilt it and sawed logs for local farmers and stuff. Somebody'd want to build a barn, we'd go cut their trees down, haul them to the mill, saw the lumber, deliver the lumber.
And that wasn't a hobby, that was a full-time way to earn a living.
Yeah. And
it was like a big 4-foot circular blade, right?
Yeah, it was a huge blade. A lot of the logs that we sawed, you're not even going to be able to saw on these bandsaw mills, but they have their purpose. And like this mill we're looking at here, for somebody that's just wanting a few boards for their own woodworking, this would be great. You don't need a massive expensive saw unless you're going to start selling a lot of lumber.
All right, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go up in the woods, pick out a tree, and get started. So I demonstrate a lot of products. This saw boss is one of my favorites. It's never in the way, stays right here all the time, even though I can switch out and put other things on that mount. But it's a very convenient way to take your chainsaw with you. A perfect complement to that saw boss is this Artilian modular tool rack. I keep my chaps, my helmet, my hearing protection, extra chains, all that kind of stuff in this toolbox, gas and oil in this one, and yeah, got everything with me. Pretty convenient. You can also put a chainsaw holder on this rack, but I kind of like having this stuff back here and the chainsaw up there. All right, for you guys who care about tree felling, I made a cut in the front, my face cut. Should have had a little probably steeper angle on it. Then I cut down to a little over an inch hinge right here, worked my way back to 2 to 3 inches, left the trigger and cut in a little high. Now, let's take a look at the tree. We'll get a tape measure and see where the best place for the next cut is.
So we're at 9 foot right here.
And so
you could probably easily get a 10 plus if that mill will handle it.
It will. So if we're going to do 10-foot lumber, we go to 11. So make a rough mark at 11.
Right here is 12.
Okay. So I can picture between those two branches is 11. I'll cut it right there. This end of the log's on the ground. The other end is supported. So the weight of it's pushing down. That means compression is on the top and tension is on the bottom. Always cut the compression first. Means I should start my cut on the top and then come back up from the bottom to meet it.
Looks good.
Back out.
Yeah.
The way you roll the log on this is a decision because your carriage slides right up against this. So anything sticking out in this direction is a problem. You can have a flare or a knob on that side, but you can't have one over here. So like, I don't think it'll clear this little part right here with this up against it.
Yeah.
And this could be a problem.
So we'll
So I think
probably have to roll it.
Yeah, we grab the cant and we can roll it till there's nothing sticking out on that side.
That's better.
That might be good right there. Because one way to do it is you can put like a 2x4 in front of that to space it out.
Yeah.
But then you lose the length of your chainsaw and how wide you can cut.
Which, this being a small log, that shouldn't be a problem. You've got plenty of bar to reach through there.
I think we can go ahead and lock the log down now.
The old sawmill my dad run, it actually had a, well, he called it a dog. It was a sharp point that come out stuck in there.
Yeah, the only problem I've had with these is the hand screw coming loose. So you want to check them after each turn. So you lock that down and then push it, just tightens it a little bit.
Yep.
So the next major decision we have to make is if we're going to make live edge and just slice it, or if we're going to make a cant and make square dimensional lumber.
Yeah, well, that's entirely up to you as to what you want to use it for.
Do you want some of this?
I don't know that we need any live edge.
Yeah. Okay. Unless, I was going to see if you want to take some of this home with you. You don't need any live edge or?
No.
So now
and I don't know what I'm going to be using next or for what purpose. I actually have a stack of oak and some hickory.
So the next thing is determining our cut height. And that actually is not bad where it's sitting right now. As far as making a cant, you try to picture a square being cut out of that. I think that's actually, we might leave this side and then take some measurements for the other side. Thinking what we really need is a straight edge to sit on here. So, but straight across there puts us 2 inches above the pith. So if the center of this log's here, it's hard to see the pith. We're above the center, and we want this rail to be about 2 inches above the center of the log, I think. Sound right to you?
Works for me.
Let's do that. I'll let you kind of eyeball that till we're close, and I'm going to be letting this down.
You go ahead. Okay, take a look and see what you think.
Yeah, if this is level, we're a little bit below it. Another way to look at it is it's going to cut about a ½ inch above these. I almost forgot that. Another way to think about it is this cuts about a ½ inch above this right here. So you can see where we're going to be shaving that. Try to eyeball the other side to be about the same. And here, maybe come up just a couple clicks on this, I think. This is a steel MS 661 with a 25-inch bar. That's a really good saw size for milling. Some people will tell you that's a minimum, but you can mill with a lot smaller chainsaw. Now this chain has not been sharpened since I milled the last log. In that video I said I was going to see how much we could get out of one chain sharpening. This was a used chain, I sharpened it, and I did the entire log with it. So we'll see how far we get today. And the last time I did it, I also did the entire log on 1 tank of fuel. I just wrangled my dad into wearing a helmet for safety. It's not his style, but we're gonna do it. Now, may not know our custom around here, but generally I like to yell out "woo doggy" when I shut a saw off. It lets the viewer know that you were impressed with the saw, but also that you're a grade A redneck.
Well, we're getting a lot smoother cuts than I anticipated. Is that a thin curve?
It is not. They make special chains for this. I've used one once. Haven't sharpened it and haven't used it again. So, but it is pretty good. This helps with that, getting a pretty smooth cut.
Yeah.
And that's going to be firewood, so we can throw it off anywhere out of the way.
You know what we were saying about the RPM of the saw? I literally blew up one of my dad's saws when I was a teenager. I was cutting slabs into firewood, and we'd sell them off cheap. And I had the RPM running real high, full throttle, and I didn't engage the wood enough. Engaging the wood slows the RPM down just enough to keep it, you know, from literally flying apart. That was his explanation when he was chewing me out anyway.
If you are using one of these, make sure you bring your saw back before moving the log, or you can't bring your saw back.
Couldn't take it on off the end?
Well, there's a bolted on thing down there you would have to take off to take it off the end.
We'd have to lose that pretty quick, huh?
Right. And that is supposed to be, there's a string that ties to this and ties to that crank handle.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it myself because the guy I got it from said every time he tried to use it, he'd end up breaking the string because it wasn't pulling straight enough, basically. And so he didn't use it, so I'm not using it. Now, I wasn't the one running the saw, but it felt to me like that chain might be dull. So before we make the next cut, we're gonna go ahead and sharpen this chain and see if it cuts a little better. But right now what we need to do is flip the log 90 degrees, level it again. The first and second cut, you level for the pith. Third and fourth cut, you're just going parallel to your existing cuts. We adjusted it so the log was pretty well level, but we want our cut to be right on the corner of the other cut. So we need to come down 2 or 3 inches here. So we'll just eyeball that if you want to tell me when I'm there. I'll go up first.
Look good.
I don't know if it's necessary or not. Sometimes I'll stop and let the saw kind of rest for a second in between that. Woo doggy. Roll it forward. Okay. Now, I think we want to just set these to the same number on the scale. now that we have an actual square cant, and pretty happy that it came out as truly being square, we can completely just use the scales. We don't have to measure anything else. And we're just gonna go down 1 1/8 inches. No, I think because our saw kerf is 3/8 of an inch, I think we'll go 1 3/8 inches for each cut. So what you'll have left is 1 inch, and it will dry to 3/4. Sound good? I think we're gonna run one of these through the planer and just see what it looks like. Then we're gonna come back and give you our thoughts on the practicality of one of these kind of mills. Okay, so what do you think about the practicality of a mill like this one?
Well, Brock has talked about getting a bandsaw mill, and if he wasn't planning to do that, I'd very much consider getting one like this for myself, because I don't need huge amounts of lumber. But even what we cut today, the 5 boards we cut would be pretty expensive to go buy, and we just spent a few hours doing it, including cutting the tree down.
Yep, and there's a lot of factors, variables that come down to it on this, like how often are you going to mill? And one thing that's a consideration with this is you have a lot wider saw kerf and you waste more wood. We got 5 1-inch boards. By my math, with the extra saw kerf, you would have got a full sixth board if you were using a bandsaw mill.
Yeah.
But you were telling me earlier that the big circular saw blades had a kerf almost as wide as this.
Yeah, they had a huge wide tooth in them. It was a tooth insert that you could change out and resharpen and put back in and so forth. But the blade itself was probably 1/4 of an inch wide, thick, to be able to have a blade that large not flex. And so the tooth was even wider than the blade.
The consideration for me on something like this, one is cost, because I look at an entry-level mill that will let you mill 23, 26-inch diameter logs. It is like $3,500. That's your most basic option out there. And this is about $1,800 to $2,000. And so it's like, man, that is the cheapest way you can get a setup that's going to make you nice lumber like that. The downside to it is that's if you already have a saw capable of milling. Yeah. If you don't, by the time you buy that saw and this, you're in that same price.
Well, another consideration is that the bandsaw mill that I ran was one my brother had, and it was a very low budget saw, and it just wasn't that good. The quality of the workmanship and stuff. To get something that does a real good job, you got to spend a lot more money than that.
What I'm looking at for a mill like what I want, I'm looking at a minimum of $6,000 up to around $14,000.
Yeah.
And so there you're talking not, oh, it's almost as much. We're talking that is 5 times as much money potentially as what you spend on this.
If your needs for lumber aren't you don't need a lot of lumber, you just do a hobby business or do some furniture work, making end tables, coffee tables, different things, this would be a real good machine for you.
But as far as build quality and design and everything, I don't see anything negative to say about it.
The framework's been really sturdy, nothing's flexed or give. All the boards come out nice and flat and smooth. I was surprised.
Neither one of us is experienced with doing this. All of our boards, we don't have any that are like 1 inch on this side and 1.5 inches on the other, because we didn't get, our cant was square. Everything turned out good. So I think it's pretty cool. This is the Logosol M8. The Logosol F2 is pretty similar to this, but they've upgraded it, and it very easily comes apart. You can pack the whole thing into the trunk of your car, go on location, and mill lumber. Pretty darn handy.
And Brock and I were talking earlier, and they have an electric saw that you can apply to this, and I think that might be a really nice feature. I have no idea what the cost would be, but in the long term, there are some applications where electric is better. Of course, if you're taking it to locations, you want a gas saw. But setting up at your own household, electric could probably be a lot more economical to run in the long run.
Yep. Well, I thought this was a fun day. So
I had a good time.
And I appreciate you guys taking time to watch the video. Put links on the screen to more of our videos, and we'll see you next time.